This episode of Play the Bay is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. March Madness is upon us, and BetOnline has you covered for all news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. Head to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. And now, Play the Bay.
From Channelside Drive, where Lord Stanley Cup rests.
Time ticks down! The Lightning win the Stanley Cup!
Travel across the bridge to St. Pete to find our American League champs.
And the Tampa Bay Rays have just won the American League pennant.
And get ready to fire the cannons.
Lob pass toward the end zone. Gronkowski, he makes the catch. Touchdown Tampa Bay. What a great grab by Gronk.
Because it's time for another episode of Play the Bay. Play the Bay.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Play the Bay, presented by Believe Podcast Network and Three Daughters Brewing. How are you guys today? It's been kind of slow in the realm of Tampa Bay sports for the last week, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. We're going to spice it up, give it a little injection, you know, get the juices flowing, Florida style.
I'm back after not being here last week.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we were missing the third musketeer. How are you?
I'm better. So much better. I'm cracking one open. That's against doctor's orders.
Oh, boy.
Before we went live, literally seconds before, you're like, I'm just going to drink water, doctor's orders. And then now we're 3 seconds into the show. And you're having drinking a beer.
Which, by the way, is a Three Daughters beer. Evan, tell us about what you have in your hand there, buddy.
So today's Three Daughters beer, which we are proudly sponsored by, is not an actual IPA. It's actually a stout. It's a red velvet stout.
What?
Red velvet stout. It is very nice and creamy and tastes all the red velvety goodness.
See, a stout's not for me, but it sounds great. Like, I love a red velvet cake, a cupcake, all of that. But
any dessert red velvet, I'm kind of partial to as well. I'm in on that as well.
And I just spilled a little bit on my desk. Oh my God, what am I doing? I'll just drink from the can for like I'm a normal human being. Jesus Christ.
Now, Paige obviously is in the medical profession as well. Does she know that you're drinking a beer right now?
Yeah, she does. She's fine.
Okay. Yeah. All right, just checking.
She's okay.
I feel like I don't know her that well, but I love her because she seems very easygoing. You know?
She is. My wife is very easygoing. I hit the jackpot when I married my wife, and when it comes to like getting sick, you know, I guess usually men are the biggest babies in the world, but you know, when I get sick, I try not to turn to my wife because she has no sympathy for me when I get sick, because she's an ICU nurse. She takes care of people that have way worse, you know, injuries or sicknesses more than I do. But this was kind of a serious thing. So she was actually concerned this time, and she was like, you need to go to the ER like now. If you can't swallow, so here's what happened.
Let's hear the story. Set it up for us.
Yeah, let's set it up. Here's what happened. So Sunday night, I ate some pot roast. The pot roast actually got stuck in my windpipe, and this is something I've been dealing with for the past couple of years. And this was like the worst time. This is like the worst episode of it happening. It got stuck in there. I was like, okay, you know, I'll take some medicine. Hopefully it'll go down. It'll go down the gullet, because usually sometimes it takes 2 hours and I'm back to normal. So one day goes by, still nothing. I can't even drink water. Water comes back up. Okay,
that's bad. You need water.
So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can go a day without food and water, and I'll just keep taking medicine. I'll be okay. Yeah.
That's not normal thought process.
Not the smartest thing to do. You know, I figure, hey, I can still like the Bears do. I can store water and food, like, you know, for the winter. One day would be fine. Okay. Second day goes on. Still nothing can stay down. Water, and I can't even have crackers. That's how bad it is. Like, what? Even my own saliva is coming back up. I'm sorry, this is going to be a disgusting story.
Wow. This is X-rated.
Yeah, R-rated. This is going on 2 days, and by Wednesday of last week, I was like, I'm kind of panic. I'm in panic mode right now. I can't eat. I'm getting irritable. I'm starting to lash out at people because I haven't had a meal or any kind of sip of water. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to the hospital. and get this thing taken care of. So finally it did. I got hooked up to some meds. And then, finally that food, whatever was stuck in my throat, which was still stuck in my throat 2 days later, finally went through. They did a scope of my throat just to see what was going on. And finally I'm almost to 100%. I'm still a little scratchy in the throat when it comes to eating like hot foods and stuff. But other than that, I feel fine. I finally got to know what's going on. But yeah, it was getting kind of scary. Being 2.5 days with no liquids or food. So I've been eating like an animal. I've been eating it was like after I got put under for this procedure.
Oh,
and that's true.
Oh, wow. So Twilight, you were kind of now put unders and you went to sleep. Oh, okay. Out.
It was snoozer time, man. So they're like, they put the Darth Vader mask on you. And then like, okay, count down from 10. I'm like, okay, I know this drill already. I'm like 10, 9. Okay. Take a deep breath and I'm out. Plain as day, I'm out. I don't remember nothing. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up and they're like, yeah, man, everything went well. Are you good? I'm like, can I drive home? They're like, no, what's wrong with you? You can't drive home. I'm like, okay. Where's my wife? They're like, well, she can drive home. Okay. I can still drive, but I mean, I'll be honest. I've driven worse than this, doctor. They're like, what? No. So yeah, I'm finally back to 100%. I can enjoy foods and drinks and stuff. So yeah, I'm back.
You had a blockage in your esophageal.
In my esophageal, yes.
I'm glad you're back.
Word. Love it.
Yeah, that's a word of the day.
Very doctorly. Esophageal.
Well, that's what I got diagnosed with, esophageal dysplasia.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I know.
It's not good.
Not good at all. No.
Well, I'm glad you're back because we're obviously talking Tampa Bay Rays baseball today, and it's just not the same without the one baseball fan of the show being here.
Wait a minute. I'm a baseball fan. Let's not jump out of any windows.
That's fair.
I think that baseball's a little secondary here in Tampa just due to the fact right now the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and we're all still, you had a weird football season, and we're kind of all still on. Grabbing hold of the last taste of the Super Bowl cup, the last sip of the yummy nectar that we've chased.
That's fair.
I like the yummy nectar.
Yeah.
Nice.
This really is. Yeah, the rating. We're gonna have to put the little E explicit if we keep talking about esophageal and nectar.
Esophageal and all that stuff.
Got all my big words out of the way.
I know.
Let's bring in our guest so we can jump into baseball. Today we have Alex Murphy joining us. He's the co-founder of Raise the Roof Network and the co-host of the Raise the Roof podcast. Thank you for joining us today, Alex.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on. How's everyone doing?
Good, hey, Alex. Thanks for coming on the show there, buddy.
Yeah, of course. Have you guys been watching the tournament? I hope so.
So after Oral Roberts did his destruction, I basically took my bracket and threw it away and said, I'm done. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'm not
dumpster fires. The bracket as well. Yep.
Yeah. As you can see by the flag and by the hat on, I'm a Maryland
little Terps.
And my goodness, is Alabama a good basketball team? I think they set an NCAA record for most 3-pointers made in a game, and it happened to be the one against Maryland. So. Feeling great after losing by 19, but we weren't expected to win, so it's fine. we won a game, so we're all good.
So, Alex, we're all gearing up. Opening day is about maybe a week away, if not. The Rays coming off a World Series berth last year, of course, losing to the Dodgers. Kind of a lot of the media hype is kind of turned on the Rays, thinking they've kind of taken a step backward. The squad isn't what it used to be because, Blake Snell's gone, Charlie Morton's gone. They've added a few pieces on the rotation, like guys that we've seen used to be really good, like Rich Hill, aka Dick Mountain, is in the rotation. Chris Archer they brought back. So it seems like the Rays are kind of falling underneath the radar yet again, which is good. I like that, being under the radar, the underdogs in this situation. But I wanted to get your thoughts going into the 2021 season. Has this team gotten better, worse? Or are they staying the same when it comes to this year compared to last year?
So I think the easiest way to describe it is that on paper they're worse because of the fact that they lost Snell and they lost Morton, which makes sense. I mean, Snell was the team's ace and has been the ace of the team for the last few years, obviously winning the Cy Young in 2018. And Morton has really evolved since he had troubles in Philadelphia and then ended up going to Houston, becoming a stud. Obviously came to the Rays and was really, really good. Kind of regressed last year in terms of his statistics, but was still really, really good and was a reliable pitcher in the postseason. Losing both of them at the start of your rotation is a big blow to this team moving forward. However, I think that the pieces that they added, especially on the pitching side of it, I think they added a lot of good pieces that are really going to help out this rotation. So adding someone like Rich Hillen, who has been known to, he's been a lights out starter, a lefty, has a really, really good hook and doesn't really throw that hard, but you're not really expecting him to. You're expecting him to pitch to contact much of the same way that Brian Yarbrough is, who's another lefty in the rotation, and the Rays are really going to need him to step up. And then adding, Chris Archer back, who I know there was some ill will between him and the mayor of St. Petersburg when they left because of, things that went back and forth, but hopefully all of that is gone and it's just good feelings for him with the Rays. And I think that in Pittsburgh, I just don't know how the pitching coach and the staff, how that works. Because apparently, according to, I think it was a podcast I listened to with Glasnow on it, he said that basically the way that they ran their pitching thing was if it worked for one guy, it'll work for the other, for like anyone else who has got a problem going on, which doesn't make any sense because like Tyler Glasnow's 6'7" and Chris Archer's not 6'7".
What a great mantra
most
to
of us
have
are
for
6'7".
Yeah, especially when the pitcher that you traded away got a Kings treasure from the Pirates from them, and then you got that same picture back in free agency. So it's continued slaps in the face.
It's not a good look. And then with the fact that they're supposed to have the number 1 draft pick and there's a number of guys that they can pick, I'm kind of scared for who's ever going to Pittsburgh because I don't want their arms to get destroyed, especially Kumar Rocker. I really don't want his arm to get destroyed because I love watching him pitch at Vanderbilt. And then I guess the last guy to add in on the rotational side of things was Colin Mchugh, who has struggled a little bit in spring training so far, but for the most part, in 2018, in terms of looking at statistics, he had a really, really good season, kind of converting himself more from a starter to a long reliever. And I think that they can use him in that role. I know they were thinking about experimenting with guys throwing like 8 to 10 pitchers out for like 80 to 100 innings during the course of the season. I don't know if they're going to do that. It makes sense because it's the Rays and they just do things however they want and they don't try to go by the status quo when it comes to things. So I think in terms of pitching, I think it's regressed, but I still think it's really good. And in terms of offense, the only two guys that they lost, the only, I guess, major person that they lost was Hunter Renfroe. And other than that, not really anyone else. Plus, you're getting a full season of Randy Rosarena back. You're getting hopefully a healthy Austin Meadows back, who's looked really good in spring training so far. You're getting hopefully a full season of Lau, who has looked, I don't know how well he's looked in spring training, but if you take what he's done so far in his career and you piece that together into one season, that is an all-star caliber season, an MVP caliber season. So you're getting a lot of guys back for a full year, hopefully. And honestly, I think that the team is really going under the radar and they're definitely a playoff caliber team. It's just they need to kind of have everything click at the right time, especially with pitching, because a lot of those guys have been unproven commodities in recent years.
Looking at this team, I'm glad you said about the pitching. It's kind of like a brand new pitching rotation. The guys in offense and in the infield outfit are pretty much similar to what we saw last year. With these guys in place, who is really the Rays player or players that really has the most to prove? And you can exclude Mike Zunino because we already know what he's going to do. He's just a trash bag. You can exclude him. We already know what he's going to do.
I was going to say Zunino. His defense is the reason why he's still on the team for obvious reasons. I really hope he can work on his offense because he had good seasons in Seattle, and I don't know why it's not translating over, and he's just swinging over every pitch in existence, but hopefully he'll be able to fix that in some sort of way. What I was thinking in terms of guys that really need to prove themselves this season, one of them is Yandy Diaz, who I don't know if he just wants to walk all the time, but that's just kind of what he turned into last season, and I don't get it. If you look at him, he he looks like one giant muscle. Like he's so yoked and he's so just strong that he looks like he can hit like 45 home runs a season.
Alex, I've come to the conclusion that he doesn't like to swing because his arms are full of like cotton candy or candies.
Maybe,
so
maybe it's like that SpongeBob episode where he's got like the inflatable arms and then he can't actually do anything. It's just for show.
Like I can't scratch my ear. I can't swing the bat.
Yeah, I like he looks like a guy that should be able to hit 30 home runs a season. I don't know why he's not put the pieces together on it yet, and I think he still needs to work on his launch angle because obviously his exit velo is there. But as much as like hopefully if he can still work on his launch angle and that sort of thing, then he'll be able to really develop as a hitter. And then I think honestly, Tyler Glasnow needs to prove himself this season, and the reason why is because now he's the ace of the team. There's no more Snell. There's no more Morton. Yeah. Glasnow is that guy, and we saw greatness in him at the beginning of 2019, and then obviously he got hurt, and since he's gotten hurt he hasn't looked like the same guy as the start of 2019. And I mean he throws a lot of pitches. He doesn't really go that deep into games. You're expecting him to give up a few runs a start, usually a home run or two, just because that's just become the pitcher that he is. Luckily he has added in that third pitch, that what he calls a slutter, and I mean it's basically like a combination of a slider and a cutter.
Is he naming pitchers like Rick Vaughn from Major League?
I don't know. I also don't think that he realizes how many Rays fans swoon over him, and by using the word slutter, it's not going to help out things in that sort of way.
It's the hair. He's got
honestly,
those locks. It's the hair, man.
There's a group chat of like Rays fans that I'm in. And there's a picture that's like circulated around of Glasnow with his shirt off, and like he's got like a perfect 6 or 8 pack of abs, and everyone like there have been nights where we've just like for like hours on end just looked at the photo and we're like, oh my God.
I'm slightly disturbed. I'm slightly disturbed that you guys do that.
I understand, but it's just sometimes you just can't understand things. You just got to go with the flow.
I get it. Kiermaier has his eyes. Glasnow has the hair and the abs.
It makes sense. It makes sense. But
combine the whole team, and we're pretty darn good looking baseball team.
Good looking team.
Honestly,
everybody put them together.
You're not wrong about that one bit. But yeah, so. With just like I guess the last thing with Glasnow is that hopefully that third pitch, and he's debuted it so far in spring training, it actually looks like a really effective pitch. It definitely has that cutter movement on it, but it has that slide action as well. So it definitely, like for a right-handed batter, it'll slide into them. And I think he's trying to aim for like that low and inside corner, especially on a right-handed hitter. And if he can land it there consistently, then that's a really effective pitch, because obviously his fastball has great movement on it, and he throws it, 90, anywhere from 97 to 101 miles an hour. And then his, he's always been kind of a 2-pitch pitcher, because he has a changeup, but he throws it about like 12 times a season. So you really don't see it that much. And his curveball has such ridiculous movement on it, and is one of like the best single pitches in baseball. Just looking at like, taking those stats and kind of extracting them out just on the curveball. It's one of the best pitches in baseball. He just needs to control it more. So adding that third pitch hopefully will help make him a more effective pitcher overall.
Do you think he's going to be able to handle that number one spot? Now, I'm glad they brought in a veteran like Rich Hill, because Rich Hill has been one of those top pitching rotation guys. Do you think Glasnow will be able to handle that pressure of now, okay, this is my rotation now? I mean, Morton's gone, Snell's gone. Now it's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, time will tell. We'll see. I don't know if he's prepared himself over the offseason. Obviously, he's had some time to prepare since both Morton and Snell left in basically December. So he's had a couple months to, go through in his head, hey, I'm probably going to be the ace of this team. I'm going to have to step myself up and step my game up for this season. I don't know if he's fully comprehended that, and he's getting the ball on opening day. He's getting the ball on April 1. So he'll be pitching. I just don't like, I hope that he will evolve into that role. I want to see that start of 2019 Glasnow back, instead of kind of what he's become, because that start of 2019 Glasnow was a guy who was lights out, had like a sub-2 ERA, and now he's turned into a guy who you're expecting to have an ERA anywhere between 3.5 to 4.5. And he needs to become that guy, if not, the sub-2, which I know can be a little bit of an extremity in that, but at least be a guy who can be who can go out there and have a sub-3 ERA every season.
I think the pitcher like Glasnow, though, I mean, you had coming in that time frame, and not a lot of people see the stuff that he has. Mm-hmm. And what you mentioned, I mean, his curveball, that depth, if him and Rich Hill get together and start comparing and contrasting curveballs.
Stick Mountain to you, Chip.
Dude, and they figure out how they can both work on curveballs. They have some of the best depth, like 12 to 6, starting at your chest, dropping to your feet. So, yeah, if those guys get together and work on that, that would be a dangerous, collaboration at both those guys. Because you're right. Both those guys have unbelievable off-speed stuff. And if they can figure out how to fit together and work together, I think that'll be key in development as well.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agreed.
Alex, what do you think about this drive-through fan fest?
So from what I know about it, so in terms of where I'm located, I'm not in Florida. I live in South Jersey, southern New Jersey. So I live like 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So I won't be able to go there or really get hopefully I'll be able to make my way down to Florida sometime soon this season to go watch the Rays, or maybe even Baltimore to go see a game, closest places to me.
Yeah.
What I know about the Fan Fest, because it's actually great. We have someone on our team, Elijah Flewellen. He works for the Rays. He's a team receptionist.
Yep.
He has given us a lot of details kind of with what everything, like what's going on with that. And I think it's great that they're doing something. I know obviously we're used to having the Fan Fest go on at the Trop and people being able to go there to, take photos with players, get autographs, get really, really cheap game used jerseys and giveaways that the Rays just have left over, that kind of stuff. And it'll be something similar to that this season, in like a couple days. But it's not going to be the exact same thing. But I still think that I think it's a fantastic idea for the organization to do. And obviously with social distancing in place, I think this is a great idea with the drive-through aspect of it.
I think it's stupid.
I know, Evan, I knew you were going to have that take.
Well, it's meant to get the fans engaged, and it's meant to bring.
I get it. I've been to Fan Fest. I've been to Fan Fest many times.
You just can't do that. You can't have that happen in the current conditions where we've got a city to the south of us setting riots and having curfews with thousands of people.
Listen, Chip, that's Miami. Miami, they're a bunch of heathens over there anyways. So
I know.
Let's
we're in the same state.
I know that. I just look at this as almost another way of Stu just kind of slapping people in the face, especially the fans. Like a drive-through Fan Fest, to me, it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I mean, because the times that we're in, you have to be safe with social distancing and everything. I just think with stuff being open up, especially like the NFL experience where they had people wearing masks, and it was crowded, you can still do the same thing. Like, you don't need to have something like a drive-through Fan Fest where over the Howard Franklin Bridge they're having the NFL experience where tons of people are coming in, people are still going out.
That's the Super Bowl you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hold on now. It's still, even though it's the Super Bowl, it's still an event where fans
can't
came
compare
in.
the Super Bowl to Fan Fest.
I can compare it because it's set up just the same.
What about timing though? Like timing for the MLB, which faced obviously kind of criticism at the end of last season for their COVID protocols or lack thereof on the field, celebrating whatever.
That's Justin Turner's fault.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like they faced criticism, they struggled significantly. So for them, like this is right before opening day. So they're trying to have nothing hinder the season going as planned. Whereas the Super Bowl, I feel like the NFL's mentality was, it doesn't matter what happens, who gets COVID, what we need to move around. This season's happening.
Biggest company in the world and the universe. We can do whatever we want.
And it's the last game of the season. I mean, like they have nothing else to worry about.
There's no repercussions. Yeah, exactly. After that.
Listen, I like I said, it's a good idea just to have that way the fans can interact with the players, they can get their autographs. I still think they could have maybe have opened up. The Trop's going to be open up anyways in 2 weeks after that. You might as well do it. Of course, limit the fans go in for Fan Fest. Maybe have both. Maybe have a drive-through thing and have some people go in as well. I'm just saying you could have opened it up just a little bit to let people in.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I also think that if they were going to do that, they would have had to, I don't know how much time that they had really to plan everything out, because obviously you would have to put, essentially like time slots in saying that like you can only be here, or what I would assume is that they would say, like a ticketed thing. So you would only be able to go inside for like an hour to 2 hours at a time. And then the next group of people would be able to go in and stuff like that. And then you would obviously have to figure out a way to social distance everything around the stadium and all of that stuff. So I don't know I don't know if most people realize, but the WWE is currently inside of Tropicana Field right now, and they're using it. So I don't know if they have the ability to even go in there and do anything, considering they have a giant, like, I don't even know what the heck that they set up in there, but
yeah.
I stand corrected. That's true. WWE is there for WrestleMania.
So that's probably the reason why they're doing the drive-in thing, is because they have a giant setup for the WWE, which is just, it's kind of funny to think about that it's just going on inside, because I know like people have like walked by it and they've just heard like fireworks going off inside, and they're like, what the hell is going on inside the Trop?
They're finally burning it down. There's a new stadium, which is a great segue into the last thing we'll talk to you about, Alex, is the stadium saga continues yet again. We've had four proposed sites that are going to be possibly coming up if they ever get their act together about what's going to happen for the stadium. Point blank, is it going to get done?
I don't know.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
That's the biggest thing is that no one really knows what's going to happen. I know that all of the current proposals in terms of the redevelopment of the Tropicana Field site, all of them are featuring open air stadiums. Now, I don't know if those are going to allow for the possibility of adding in a retractable roof, because you have to have a roof in Florida somehow. Like it doesn't make any sense to not have a roof on a stadium in Florida, especially with what the Rays have been doing at Tropicana Field. I don't know if they still own the Ybor City area. And I also know that they have the Al Lang Field. I know they have the all of that area done because of the Rowdies, and they now own the Rowdies. So I don't know if they would just tear that down and put something else there, or if they're just planning on just sticking with the Trop redevelopment site, or if they're trying to go to Tampa, or I don't know. I think that Stu's still pushing really hard for the Montreal Split City plan, which I know none of us really like.
Hashtag Stu sucks, by the way. Hashtag Stu sucks. So.
Well, I don't want to say that because like I don't want him to like come on my butt, because like we're still trying to grow the raise the roof thing. So.
Alex, that's okay. I'll say it for you.
Okay, thank you.
But I'll be your voice for the little people.
Yeah, we don't want raised credentials or anything. We're out, dude.
Hey, we can listen. Hashtag Stu. We can be vocal about our owners. Okay.
I mean, the idea doesn't make any sense, because I mean, like I'm sure that you guys have discussed in depth, but I mean, like. Yeah. There's like passports that are involved. You have to buy 2 different houses, probably. There's like, logistics of people going from place to place. Building one stadium or like redeveloping one stadium is probably a good idea. But then deciding, let's build 2 new stadiums, because that's not going to cause any problems. That's just another wrench in the like. It doesn't make any sense. And Montreal's they're a hockey city. They haven't had a professional sports team other than the Canadiens inside of the city of Montreal for more than 35 years. Straight.
Listen, we could talk about this subject until I pull my hair out and punch poutines. I've almost to the point where I boycotted everything Canada except for Letterkenny, because it's a funny ass show on Hulu, by the way. But yeah, well, Alex, thanks for coming on the show. Before we get out of here, plug all your stuff. Where we can find you at, where we can find Raise the Roof Network.
Yeah, I'll try to do all of that. So for us on all of our social media accounts, it's just Raise the Roof TB. So that's on our Twitter, Instagram, our Twitch channel, and our TikTok account. We also have a YouTube account, which is just Raise the Roof. And we have our website, raisetherooftb.com. That's kind of where you can find all of our stuff. And I guess for me, just my Twitter account is just at Alex_Murphy Jour, Jour, because journalism. So you can find me there if you guys want to DM me about anything Raise the Roof, or if you want to DM the Raise the Roof account, our DMs are open, so feel free.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Stay safe.
I put that over there. That snazzy overlay that Kaylee did.
Look at that. I have such perfectionist syndrome because I'm looking at it and I was like, I can't wait to tweak it after this. Annoying.
It's all right.
Annoying habit.
I'm glad we have a difference of opinion for the Fan Fest. So,
guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to tell you one thing though. That whole Fan Fest thing, Rays Stadium and everything, that scares me half to death, dude. And you know what? I don't relax very well. But with my crazy life, it's just hard for me to chill and shut down my brain. I get easily stressed out and it effing sucks.
You do?
So, yes.
Wow.
So I have Sunday Scaries, which are delicious and vitamin boosted CBD gummies.
Is that our new sponsorship?
It is. They've basically become a go-to in my daily routine. All I need is just about 20 minutes, and they take the edge off everything so I can maintain my composure and live scare-free. And guess what? Right now, there's no risk to buy. The company offers 100% lifetime money-back guarantee. And if this product isn't for you, the Sunday Scaries, which it's going to be, you're going to get your money back. Because Sunday Scaries, we're in the stress of relieving the stress, not giving you the stress. So Sunday Scaries, everybody go there, check them out, 25% off your first order. Taking the stress out of your life. Evan, you look less scared already.
I do. You know what? If you go to FanFest, pop a couple of those Sunday Scaries and you feel at ease.
Everything will be fine.
Everything will be okay with those CBD gummies, buddy.
I'm very excited to try them. I actually, while you were doing that ad read, I Googled them. So yeah. I'm here.
I love their website, by the way. It's very colorful.
Very cool.
They are,
as you know, so
they are sending me some samples. So each of us will be able to sample the Sunday Scaries. So yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm totally in.
That's exciting.
Yes,
do you guys want to talk some Buccaneers?
Do we?
Agency?
You better.
Yes, we do.
You better.
Great. That's what I thought.
Bring it. The Buccaneers. There you go. Hat change.
There we go.
The salary cap that never existed. The numbers that don't mean anything.
I was so disappointed I couldn't discuss that with you guys last week.
Oh, I know. So sad. I can only imagine your takes, but feel free to slip them into this week.
Oh, I will. Don't worry.
Well, it's been, like I said, it's been a pretty quiet week. They haven't done a ton, which makes sense because, the only real big name guys that they haven't signed up until this point is Mckenzie, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette. And there's not really a rush to sign these guys for obvious reasons, cost, the fact that, you could probably do without two of them altogether. But for you guys, who's the most important of these three to re-sign? And do we need to re-sign any, or can we do without them all? Chip, start with you.
I am going to go ahead and say, well, personally, I think you can go without any of them and get better in the draft. But, I mean, we have money coming out of every direction. I'd say we go after all three. Go after all three, and if we don't get any of them, then just draft. But Sue would be the one, obviously, that you would want to keep, I think.
I am very surprised about your initial answer about saying none of them. Yeah, I really thought you would say one of them. And I'm in agreement with you, Chip, is I'm okay with them not bringing back all three because you could go in the draft or you could promote a guy that was on the second squad or the practice squad up, or you can go out in free agency still, maybe get somebody for cheap. I mean, obviously
I have to laugh when you say go out in free agency because it's like
I know.
But the Bucs are in the red, but now they've signed everybody almost back.
The Bucs have fun coupons. They're just printing money right now. Okay, come on. Because we've heard rumors now that Seattle has been talking to AB. Russell Wilson really wants AB to come there, which he'll probably get more money. Obviously, Fournette's been talking to other teams, but AB and him have been talking to the Bucs too. So I wouldn't be shocked if all three are I'm going somewhere else. Yeah, and that's fine with me. I'm okay to move on to something else. I mean, Sue is getting obviously older, but he played at a high level this past year. I mean, he played one of the best years of football. So if there's anybody to bring back, Sue's got to be the priority. But you know, obviously, you know what? You never know. They could bring back all three and shock the world again, and just bring everybody back. I mean, as Kaylee said the last show, it doesn't exist. There is no cap at all.
You can't convince me. There's a salary cap.
Well, I just think it's kind of like you have a limit, and then we're never going to know exactly where they are in the cap because different websites have different numbers, and some have, Shaquille Barrett's contract on there, and some contracts aren't on there, and so it's who knows how much money the Bucs actually have. Jason Light knows.
I figured it out. I know who's paying all these salaries.
Is it Elon Musk?
Okay. No, Giselle is paying all these salaries.
Maybe.
I wouldn't put it past her. Tom,
look, listen, Tom, you're happy. You're playing football. I want to see you happy, so I pay for people's contracts. I don't care. I make more money than you. Hashtag.
I like it.
Hashtag Giselle makes more than you, so I pay. I pay more. I pay.
It's kind of like when parents put their kids in after school activities and they're like, well, it's worth it so they're not out getting into trouble, It's like,
true.
Keep them out of trouble, keep them busy. I mean, I don't mind it. I think I read an interesting interview with Greg Allman, who is obviously the Buccaneers writer for The Athletic, about Mckenzie, who basically his perspective after talking to people at the Bucs organization, potentially even Sue himself, I'm not sure, but he basically thinks that he's deciding between retirement and returning to the Buccaneers, which makes sense because he's 34 years old. He's about to have 2 kids. His twins are due any moment. And then he's newly married, right? So the likelihood of him wanting to move around and uproot a family that's just really kind of like creating roots in one place is pretty low. But it's nice in the sense that it could give the Bucs a cheap in for him to re-sign because, that's a huge – I think people really underestimate the off the field and sort of personal connection. Yeah, like I think they kind of think that they'll go anywhere for money. And I think we've really seen that that's not necessarily the case. I think a lot of teams could have paid a lot of players a lot of money, but at the end of the day, where's the destination they want to be? And I really think he's kind of made that destination here. But he's durable. He hasn't missed a game in, I don't know, almost 9 years. So at this point, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you re-sign him when he was such a big piece of your run defense, which was number 1 in the league? But I could also see him retiring. I don't know. I feel like that makes more sense than him signing with another team.
So I lied. The Buccaneers on Spot Track are underneath the cap.
Oh,
by how much?
$20.
$253,000. So they're a shade.
So they can get a third string.
They're like 181,747.
So basically, they could sign one of us to be,
Oh no, dude! Just go to free agency. Let's go sign somebody else, and we'll just have to, go figure that out. But yeah, so they are officially under the Shaq Barrett contract now. I see it; it's on there. But I mean, it's amazing to me that you see the hits for these guys and Shaq Barrett. I mean, do you know what he did? And this is how the finagling of contracts has worked out of his deal. So he was looking at getting almost $20 million a year. And just to show you what kind of guy he is, signed a 4-year deal, $68 million, I believe. You know how much money he's making this year? Guess how much money he's making this year. What is cap?
I don't think it's.
I think it's
like
6
5.
million.
5.
It's 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
$5 million. This is the guy that is going to be averaging 20. Probably maybe somewhere at 19.5, somewhere in upwards of $20 million, and signed a deal for 5 in his first year.
Well,
but Kaylee, we talked about this, Evan. I'll let you go in 5 seconds.
Sure.
Next year, his number jumps.
Oh, they're going to be
tremendously.
Yeah, it's not that the cap doesn't exist. It's a fun joke to say, but it does exist. It just exists for them at a later date, which that is going to be a freaking nightmare to solve. Like,
Evan, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. It's quite all right. And
then I cut Kaylee off. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're cutting both of us off. It's all right. Kaylee, you go first.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I'm of the opinion that this is a win now team. And when I think of Mckenzie, he's the only one on that list that I think is a win now player and a piece that's necessary, because I think great, you could get someone else that position, maybe cheaper, maybe out of the draft. But I think when you have a run defense that's number one in the league, right? A huge factor of why you won the Super Bowl. I just think you want to retain as many defensive pieces as possible before you go and try to keep Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, who, like, let's be fair, regardless of who has shown interest in those players, they're not going to go out and get a huge contract just because their proven track records. For Antonio Brown, it's behavior. For Leonard Fournette, it's production and ability and durability. Outside of a system that has Tom Brady is not proven, right? Like, we haven't seen Antonio Brown stay out of trouble without Tom Brady. We haven't seen Leonard Fournette do anything without being in the Buccaneers offense with Tom Brady. And that's a huge what if. And I think teams aren't really willing to risk it. Also, Leonard Fournette, age, durability, track record, come on. There's a lot of running backs in the league. There's a lot of running backs in the draft. That's not a worthy investment.
Shaq Barrett makes more than Tom Brady next year.
It just goes to show you how these guys are willing to kind of take those restructures and cuts to go for two. I mean, they're the end game, obviously, and you guys hit the nail right on the head. I think, Kayla, you did. You said it correctly. Is like, this is a win now team. Like, because the clock is obviously ticking on how long Tom Brady is going to be here. Because obviously he said, hey, I may play till I'm 45. I may play until my legs fall off or I'm 50 years old. So this team wants to keep with the fire that's going on, and they're going to do whatever it takes to keep whoever. And if people want to take less money to win Super Bowls, they're going to do that. If that's their mentality, and a lot of those guys have already. They've restructured. I think there's still more restructuring going on that obviously we don't know about to probably bring back all three. You never know. Like AB and Fournette were working out together like this past week in Florida. So, and AB said on his Instagram account, we're going to work it out. Like, we're going to try and bring everybody back. So there's a lot we don't know, especially when it comes to the money situation the Bucs have. And I want to hire them as my accountants because they're so good at money. So, that's the Tom Brady effect. It goes back to, do you think this would happen if Jameis Winston was here? Hell no. So it just goes back from the guy that's leading the team, and that's Tom Brady. And the win now is the win now, but obviously you really do have to prepare for that departure of Tom Brady. Is they're going to be in a huge shit show of a situation when it comes to like money situation. But like, listen, let's enjoy the ride right now, baby, because I am. So.
Do you sacrifice 2 Super Bowl champions and then go Super Bowl championships? And then what if it takes 5 years for you to put together a team?
I'm okay with that.
Like, here's the thing, though, and that's what I was going to say is that that's what most teams deal with, except they don't get the 2 Super Bowl trophies, right? Like, most teams go through this cycle. There's a lot of teams that haven't won a Super Bowl, one ever, B in the past decade. So there's a lot of like, you're risking it, but it's understandable, right? Because 2 Super Bowls, what it does for your franchise, your city, your economic status, your marketing, your brand, everything, right? It makes you like a worldwide, the way the Patriots are, right? Like it makes you that established global brand that the Bucs just aren't as a small market team. And now they're starting to be. And I think when you look at Jameis Winston, or for any of the other quarterbacks in this league, any of them, if you bring them to a place and you throw anybody they want on their roster, you invest all this money, you push all your contracts back 2-3 years, the likelihood that everything lines up, right? And this isn't just saying like, because Tom Brady is great, they won a Super Bowl. There's a lot of things that went right, correct? I mean, the draft picks are always hit or miss. Draft picks in general are hit or miss. Rookies are hit or miss. And all of their rookies performed at an outstanding level, right? There's not a lot of rookies that will perform like that in a first-year system going to a Super Bowl and through the playoffs. You had a defense that really struggled in the beginning, that kind of got everything together in the end and figured it out at the right time. You had an offense that it really didn't matter what they did. When they turned over the ball, they were still able to be in the game because of your defense. Like, all of these things are just, they just hit the right moment. and everything fell into place. And the chance of that happening, even if you throw every single resource you have in to surround your quarterback with whoever they want in the league, the chances are super unlikely, right? So you could spend, and I think with Jameis Winston, they were trying to slow growth, right? They're trying to build a franchise, a legacy the right way. But the problem is it's just they didn't do the right things. But now it's kind of like, well, if we win 2 Super Bowls or even 1 Super Bowl, to be honest, it's worth the 2 or 3 years they're going to be out because of these cap hits later.
I agree. Godwin will be the next problem because he's on a franchise deal, $16.5 million. He is gone after next year, and he will already be. Tom Brady will be the 4th highest paid player on that team. So
listen, if this whole thing gets another Super Bowl in Tampa, I'm okay. I'm okay with after all the magic is done and, they're going to lose people. It's worth it. Yeah. Because now if you win another one, now you're in that elite 3 championship tier with those other teams because you had 1, which one's great, but now you have 2. Let's go for 3 where you can be in that conversation with great teams. So I'm okay with the whole kit and caboodle of what's going on. You know what I mean? That's fine with me because winning is nice.
I'm okay-ish. That's what I am.
Chip, I'm okay with it. Winning is awesome. There hasn't been a winning culture in this town, especially in the football realm, for a very long time. So I'm riding the wave until it's back to Suckland. Hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. But winning is nice. It brings people together. The food tastes better. Beer tastes better. Everything is better.
Everything's better.
Everything is better when you win, especially when you win a championship.
So happy for you guys.
Hey, I don't even want to hear about it over here. Okay, Matt Ryan's not going anywhere for the Falcons. They restructured his deal. His cap hit next year is like $48 million. So you can take the quarterback. Yeah, you can take the quarterback out of the realm for the Falcons at the top of the draft, and it's over. So that's kind of the deal they've taken. So
that's fair. Before we jump into the NFL and other teams that are winning or losing in free agency, let's talk about our sponsor, eBay.
Yes.
Whether it's rare dead stock or the latest release, find the exact shoe you're looking for. As the original sneaker marketplace, eBay is the place to go to cop the pair you've been eyeing. With eBay's authenticity guarantee, your sneakers are meticulously inspected by an independent professional authenticator. A team of experienced sneaker authenticators verify the box, logo, stitching, and dozens of other inspection points. And each sneaker also receives an authenticity guarantee tag that includes a digital stamp of authenticity, and it also protects sellers with a verified return process. And for sneaker sellers out there, eBay has eliminated the selling fees on sneakers over $100, making it free to sell or flip your collection. So go to ebay.com/sneakers today. eBay, the world's best destination for discovering great value and a unique selection.
That's
Take
how you do it right there.
Every time you say the word authenticity.
I would be in the hospital.
If you don't stop moving that screen and affecting quit moving it, dude. I'm trying to be in the middle every time you move it.
It's the last, not the last one, but
driving me nuts.
All right. Jesus. Let's branch out into the NFL universe. Who are your free agent? Oh, that's unfortunate. Just like
it's been happening all show. We'll just keep doing it.
Hey, it's the banners that we got to put up. Come on.
I know. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying half my head being there. It's gone.
It's all right.
All right. Who are your free agent winners? We'll go round robin on this one.
Actually, you know what, Kaylee? We're going to start with you. Well, we're going to start with you. Who are your free agent? Let's start with winners first. Who are your winners in free agency for NFL?
Yeah, mine are the Buffalo Bills. Going back to this conversation of creating a destination, creating a place players want to be, the Buffalo Bills have done that really, really well. And you can see it because a lot of their players are coming back on those team-friendly contracts at a discount and not even necessarily pushing their cap hits to later years, but just coming back for cheap, right? Like they could easily go out. A lot of teams have seen a lot of players have seen a lot of action in free agency, but are choosing to return to Buffalo. They re-signed Isaiah Mckenzie. I think that's a huge thing for them. 1 year, and he's taking $1.15 million, which is insane because when you look at what he's been able to do, huge, right? And there's someone out there who would look at his body of work over the past couple years and say, we're going to pay him more than that, but he's choosing to go back to Buffalo. He's obviously huge for their special teams. You saw him run back a punt return. He had a 3-touchdown game in week 17. And then signed backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky, which this is exactly where Mitch Trubisky belongs, is on the bench as a backup quarterback. But this is a great, this is a great place for him because like this is a team that is doing everything right to be a contender, right? Like they were right there and they were just missing depth and they were missing a few little tweaks. And then they're going to be right up there in that Super Bowl conversation. And having a solid backup quarterback is probably it sends a message of we're ready to contend because you now know that every other piece is in place for the most part. And if something happens, God forbid, to Josh Allen, then you know you have a guy who can at least step in and look competent, right? Like, and I'm not saying he's going to pull a Nick Foles in the Super Bowl, but he's going to step up and look like a starting quarterback because he's been a starting quarterback. Whereas any other guy that's really floating around the backup quarterback market is not necessarily going to be that guy unless you were going to pull for Ryan Fitzpatrick, which obviously they're a little out of his price range at this point. But, I just think Emmanuel Sanders, you look at their receiving core, I mean, Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley. You should be scared of them if you're in the AFC. I'd
be scared of Buffalo. Also, Matt Milano, linebacker.
You should be scared of Buffalo as it is already. I mean, they were.
Yeah, Milano's stand was also really big. I would love to see, although I don't see this happening, I wish Najee Harris from Alabama would drop to Buffalo, and then he would get snagged up, and that would just be that'd just be delicious.
Do you see his pro day workout?
He did not work out.
Oh, not his pro day workout. It was a workout he did.
Najee.
He filmed it for Instagram.
Yeah.
Dude's got.
He did. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna be, dude. He's the sauce, dude. He is the special sauce.
His flight got canceled.
He drove
9 hours.
Like 9 hours. Yeah, wild.
That's being a team player, man.
I love that.
He got all the reviews on that today, watching everybody, and Mac Jones did well. But I'm going to go completely off the cuff and go backwards. And it's the first time I'm ever going to say that I like anything that this team does. Ever.
I'm just going to say the Giants.
I know.
Oh.
I'm going to say the one team that has spent the most, maybe they haven't spent the most now, but at one point in free agency they had the New England Patriots. And where I'm gonna go with this is it's interesting to me to see that a team that used to make fun of teams for spending money in free agency has now flipped the switch. And I'm doing this almost sarcastically because internally, what I'd really love to happen is for the Patriots to go out and lay a big stinking egg. That's what I'd really want.
I was just about to say that because I was like, I'm about to disagree with Chip on this because
I want them to lay a huge egg, but I will tell you this. The majority, I think the impact signings were more defensively. Judon as a hybrid pass rusher.
Okay.
I mean, I can understand where I'm curious. The Patriots are great at scouting talent. They're really not good at drafting, but they're good at finding veterans at their peak and then blending them into a system. Right now, they've taken a lot of veterans, and they didn't have a lot in the cupboard. So you're going to see kind of a revolution on what they've done, and I think defensively it's going to work. Offensively, I don't think it's going to work because you still don't know their quarterback situation. They're saying Cam. If Mac Jones is there, I think New England scoops him up like a biscuit on a freaking plate. I think they just sop him up with some gravy, butter, and get him in there, dude. That's what I think.
Kind of want some biscuits and gravy now. Yeah.
I mean, biscuits and gravy.
Do that to me, man.
All right, who are you going with?
I've got the Colts on this one for winners.
I got to tell you.
Okay. I'm interested.
Okay. Here's my reasoning. Now, obviously, Carson Wentz, was your big splash. It was a trade, of course. No, signing. Was it signing or trade?
It was trade.
Trade. That was your big splash.
Yep.
Now we don't know if he's going to return to form under Frank Reich. He had his success when Frank Reich was there in Philadelphia.
In the beginning,
they brought him over. They brought him into Indy, who's already a good team. Listen, they were 11-5 with Phil Rivers last year. So, obviously bringing Carson Wentz it's like a high. It's a boomer bust. I mean, we're going to get Carson Wentz from a few years ago. He's been injury ridden, but are we going to get the Carson Wentz when he was with Frank Reich? You make that. You sign Xavier Rhodes for cheap, 6.5. One of the best corners in the league right now. Obviously, he didn't have that great of a year last year in Minnesota. You re-signed Marlon Mack. Your backfield's already solidified. You did still with Jonathan Taylor there. So I think the Colts have won that free agency market because they're gonna be another great team in the mix. They didn't make a lot of moves, but the moves that they made are the ones that counted to make this team better going forward. I as much as I hate Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Eagles fan base and the Philadelphia Eagles as a whole, once you pluck a player out of there and go to a team like the Colts, you're in good standings with me, okay? And I like what they did, and I think the pairing of Carson with Frank Reich is going to make him a better quarterback because they have a fantastic offensive line. He's not going to be on his back so much like he was in Philadelphia. So I got the Colts as my winner for free agency.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
Thank you.
I like it.
As long as I get your approval, Kaylee.
All that matters, obviously.
I can like it. I think the Colts are going to go tackle because they do need a tackle. But I think that, like you said, Evan, it's going to be boom or bust, and you're going to see within a year or two. Right. The contract he's got is 4 years at $125. So you got to figure, taking a rookie quarterback, obviously you get off the hook with the cap. And the Colts did not give – they gave a little bit, but they didn't give a lot. I think it's a third-round pick this year. So they're still keeping their first and second draft picks, which is a great move. You could still improve your team at a good level and have a quarterback with experience and also that knows the system. So I like that.
Okay. I was going to say the Giants because the Giants made a lot of moves too. Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, John Ross. Now, of course,
Kyle Rudolph failed his physical today, which is going to be the trade right now is in hold. He has a medical flag right now.
Well, you have Evan Ingram there, so he's going to.
Well, yeah, and he's another guy. Hopefully, he can stay injury free. But
it's the Giants.
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's the Giants. They always seem to screw up everything anyway. So let's go on the other side of the coin. Losers.
I'm gonna go Pittsburgh Steelers on this one, and it hurts me to say.
I like that. I like that.
I think I'm gonna go Pittsburgh Steelers and Juju Smith-Schuster because I don't think this is a great move for either of them, if that makes sense. And I think the Steelers are taking L's in other places as well. But I think when it comes to the Juju re-signing, obviously, he's taking a pretty team-friendly deal, but he's also got 4 voidable years on the back end of that. So it kind of
magic deal.
These imaginary deals all over the league. It's a wild thing, but it just screams like budget crunching, and it just seems weird because I'm like, is Juju that big a part of your plan as an offense that you need to cut budgets and figure things out to get him back on your roster? And for Juju do you really think that spending one more year in Pittsburgh is going to help kind of increase your free agency stock in 2022? I just don't see it happening. Personally, I don't see that happening.
Didn't he take less money to stay in Pittsburgh too?
He did, yeah. But he tested the waters in free agency a little bit, and I'm not sure. Again, I do think he really likes Pittsburgh. I think he likes the fan base. I think he likes being there. So I'm not sure. I can't say for sure, obviously, as we can't say for sure for most of these things, but I don't know that he went out and really negotiated a lot of deals with other teams or really talked in depth with other teams. But I do know that he likes being in Pittsburgh. He wanted to be there, but it was very, he made it very clear that he took a team-friendly deal, which by all means, like that is what it is. I think everyone knows that at this point, but I think he's kind of hedging his bets that he's going to get some play this year to raise his capital a bit. And I think the Steelers, I don't know what they're planning to do. They are a team that they are not willing to break everything down and start from scratch. And I think when they look at Ben Roethlisberger and what his ability is and where he might have downfalls, maybe they're not willing to rebuild everything from the bottom while he's still there. So I think maybe they're just kind of trying to get what they can this year and then try to maybe rethink it going forward. I don't really know, but I am not that impressed. I think their defense is not going to be as good as it was last year, clearly because of the pieces they lost, but it'll still be a top defense. I'm just not sure what they're really doing to address the offensive problems because I haven't really seen any moves made.
If Roethlisberger goes back to fat Santa, fat homeless Santa like he did last year, I think he'll be okay.
That's
how they went. Just have him be fat homeless Santa.
Wow. Yeah. That's a place to go back to. I gotta tell you.
Let me reverse that.
Woo.
Fat alcoholic Santa. That's
there
what
you go.
Revert to. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Juju is making a spectacular $2.4 million in free agency.
Well, he makes
estimated.
He makes more Instagram.
16.7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't agree, Kaylee. I agree with what you're saying, and I don't agree with the Steelers. Why? I would have gone to the Ravens. I would have gone anywhere else. You could have seen your division rivals. You could have beat up on them. You could have showed them what kind of player you could have been in a better system, and you could have rubbed it in their face. So James Ludeman, dude, he didn't really take mine, but the Saints, I mean, obviously, I'm going to stay in my division, and there you go. Saints, the worst contract I've ever seen was Taysom Hill's 4-year, $124 million extension, which had all voidable years and was just nothing. That was my winner, and also the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody in the everybody in the NFC South besides Tampa. Actually, I can't say that. Carolina did really well. They got Hassan Reddick, which is a big piece for them. But yeah, I'm just gonna say the Falcons and the Saints did awful, just bad.
I think this is too easy for being a loser because this team's in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what I don't know. The Texans kind of put some pieces, and Kaylee, maybe you can I think that they have some upside with Phillip Lindsay and Mark Ingram in the backfield.
No,
I think they do.
No,
I just think I guess I haven't paid too close attention, but I guess what are they doing? I mean, great. That's great. Those players are great, but how else have they improved? And have they improved their offensive line? Because I think that's one thing is like, how can you bring in running backs and say, we have a great run game, which is really a bread and butter staple of Houston's offense, but you can't do it without an offensive line. So
Chip, let me ask you, you have an overcrowded backfield as it is. David Johnson signed an extension. Now you bring in Phillip Lindsay, you bring in Mark Ingram, and there's so much tread left on the tires for Mark Ingram as it is. I mean, he's not Mark Ingram of old. I mean, you can bring in Phillip Lindsay as a pass back catcher, but you still have that elephant in the room, which is Deshaun Watson.
And that's why
you haven't pulled the trigger, and he's going to hold out. Obviously, we don't know what's going to go on with the whole issues that he has off the field, but you still have that opportunity because teams are still interested in getting him. But if you're waiting to the draft to pull that trigger, I think by then we're probably going to see more and more of this come out of what's going on with him on the personal side. And then teams will say, you know what? We're not going to deal with that right now.
Well, and are the Texans, because here's the question is, depending what goes on with that, right? Because that could go one of many different ways. We just don't know. But at the end of the day, it's like, are the Texans, a winner or a loser? Because then essentially they're going to be stuck with Deshaun Watson, not because they want him, but because no one else wants him now.
Right.
And maybe they should have just not been such stingy assholes to begin with, and maybe they would have had a trade and gotten some capital back in return ahead of this whole situation. I don't know. I mean, again,
it's going to get to that point because his stock was up, and then all this came out, and they didn't pull the trigger on anything. And obviously they knew something was happening, like behind the scenes. They had to have known. There's no way you're going to keep this quiet until the press gets to it and it blows it all up. I mean, I just think Houston has those chances of making their team better, which they could have. And he's not going to play no matter what. He's already said, I'm going to hold out. I'm not playing for you. So now if you hold him, you do what if you don't make a move at draft day, what are you going to do at quarterback? You got nobody.
Yeah.
So
it's like, I would not trade Deshaun Watson until draft day. That's the only time I would trade him. Period. I don't care what happens because you will get the best offer. Why trade him right now?
I mean, I don't think that anyone's going to unless this situation gets solved before then, which I don't foresee happening. I just think the amount of piling on that is going on right now, I can't imagine that this gets solved in the next month and a half. Won't. So, I mean, I don't really see anyone wanting to trade. It's a huge risk. I mean, you run the risk of losing him. Well, I mean, honestly, for the rest of his career, if it turns out to, all go one way, or at least a minimum suspension if it goes the other. I mean, it just is like we've seen how these things go. Sometimes it's hit or miss. So I don't know that anyone's willing to take that chance right off the bat, especially for what they want. And it's fair to want that based on his talent level. But I mean, who's gonna send over that kind of capital, whether it's players or draft capital, for someone that you don't even know a guarantee if he's going to touch the field?
The Texans are almost like that fantasy football owner that, has a great trade in mind, but they're too scared to pull that trigger, and then they just go on the waivers and just pick a bunch of dudes that may not even be good on their team. That's the Houston Texans. That's my analogy for them.
It is right now. I believe personally all this stuff with Deshaun Watson, smoke and mirrors. This is all smoke and mirrors. The talking about it has it's jumped up because they're saying that they're adding girls, but there's no substantial evidence, or no one has come forward with documented evidence of anything yet. It has all just been hearsay. And a lawyer saying, I'm building the case, 10 girls, building a case. So I'm going to need evidence. With Ray Rice, when that happened in the NFL, there was a tape. With Tyreek Hill, there was police involvement before, legal documents when he, had harmed his girlfriend when she was pregnant. There were times where the police was called and it was documented. Nothing has come out against Deshaun Watson right now that's documented. Not one thing.
I will say, to be fair, these systems of reporting are flawed. Yeah. And I can't imagine that in Texas, they're not flawed, just given that it's Texas. And if you can follow my vibe a little bit there, I think regardless of what the lawyer says, I think the laws in Texas, the mentality of people in Texas are probably more on his side. And I think we've kind of seen this happen multiple times in different sports where it's like the first couple things trickle out, and there's a lot of things like when it comes to legal that aren't going to be all over the internet. So there's a lot of things. We've seen this situation happen multiple times where people are like, oh, there's nothing there, and then it turns out there's something there. Like there we go, that person. And it goes both ways. I think we just have to wait and see what happens. But we've also seen the NFL conduct investigations and suspend people when the state, city, and county have, I guess, found them innocent and let it go and drop charges. We saw that with Ezekiel Elliott. So I think there's multiple cases of both ways. But Texas, man.
That's our sound clip of the day. Texas, man.
Texas, man.
Well,
we'll see what happens, but I need some evidence and I need some stuff, but I feel bad for this guy if it comes out that, all this is, and sometimes I think where there's smoke, there's fire. to some aspect. But obviously, sports shows, podcasts, chatting, everybody makes their living on building this type of rumor and just having it build and build and build and build. And this is costing him millions. Like Tyreek Hill was going to re-sign when everything came out with his girlfriend. He was talking about being $100 million receiver. Now, granted, I think he's still got 70, which fine. You know, he's not going to be hurting for money. He's not going to be out of money anytime soon, we hope. But I couldn't imagine losing, man, 30, 40, $50 million on something, and something happened with Tyreek Hill. So he got his hand slapped. But we just have to see, Kayla, what you said with Deshaun Watson. I just want there to be evidence. I need to see something. You know, I believe in all the theories that people can hold you down and maybe try to keep you in Texas by sending out things that maybe aren't 100% true, or the rumor mill can deflate your value, and somebody could be doing it on purpose. So I do think that is possible.
Yep.
That's right, Evan. I do. You move that screen again. I'm not moving this camera and get you.
Anything's possible. All right. Any final thoughts before we close the show?
It's Texas, man.
Dude, it's Texas.
Texas, man.
The first mock draft is on NFL Live right now on NFL Network, which I'm looking forward to hopping over and watching.
All right.
Nice. All right.
So,
well,
that's my only plan.
That's fair. That's fair. All
Evan,
right. Well,
keep laughing. All right. Good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the comments. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram at PlayTheBayTB. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch, Play the Bay. And we will catch you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.
Go Bucs.
Thanks for listening to Play the Bay. We'll be back again with another episode on the Believe Podcasting Network. If interested in advertising, please contact Believe.com.